Online learning does not have to be scary. And Madison College was there for me.
We have people that are dedicated to our students' online success.
We can help you with your technology.
Give us the college try for 7 days. No risk, no worries. Madison College.
Good afternoon, folks. This is Robert Chappell, Executive Editor, Madison365, with your daily update for the 21st of December, the winter solstice, during which apparently, I'm told, there we go, during which Saturn and Jupiter are right now, like, smashing into each other. Not really. It just looks like in the sky, which I don't think we're going to be able to see because it's very cloudy. First time in 800 years. And we miss it because it's cloudy. They will still be close together in the sky for a few more days. So go take a look at some point. It is there's not a lot of coronavirus news to report. And what news there is, pretty okay. It's a Monday, so all the numbers are low. But even though the sort of the day-to-day numbers are low, the more trend numbers are continuing in the right direction, which we like to see. We only have 1,435 new cases today, which is lower. Again, yesterday was 1,600 something, which was the lowest we've seen in a month or more. So today was even lower than that. Only 6,500 people got tested for the first time, or rather their tests were reported today, 6,502. And 1,435 were positive, so that's 22% of those. We know overall, again, that's just the people who were tested like for the first time, or this is their first entry into the data. But we know that just overall testing is really down. That from over the past week, the 13th to the 20th, we've processed an average of 8,530 tests per day. At the peak, it was almost 19,000. So we're over more than half reduced. Like our daily testing average is reduced by more than half, by 55%. What that does is it drives our positives down, possibly artificially. So if we had more testing going on, one of two things would happen. Say we had twice as many tests on a daily basis. Because right now, just to back up a little bit, we have about 8,500 tests a day and about 2,000 new cases a day. Those last couple of days have been under 2,000, have brought that average down somewhat. So about 2,100 new cases per day. No, I'm sorry, 2,700. So we got about 8,500 tests a day, about 2,700 new positives. Let's say we were back at the earlier stage of testing, where we were testing, processing, reporting 18,000 tests a day, which is about double what we're doing now. Either we would have 5,000 new cases a day, which is where we were not very long ago, which would mean, which would be bad news. We don't like to find that many new cases, but that would mean that we'd be actually finding more cases, right? Because right now there might be those other 2,000, 3,000 cases are out there and we just don't know it, and they possibly could be spreading disease everywhere. So either increasing, say we double testing, we'd either get double the number of positive cases, or we'd get the same number of positive cases or only slightly higher number of positive cases, and our percentage of positives would go down a lot, right? So it would just really depend if those more tests that we did were positive at the same ratio that the current tests are happening, or less so. And if there were more negative tests if those extra tests were more negative than the current tests, I'm not explaining this very well, then our positive daily test rate will go down. Right now, for the 7 days, last 7 days, our of the total tests that have been run in the past 7 days, 9% have been positive. Have tested positive. So more than 1 in 4 of the people who got tested for the first time. The healthcare workers and everybody who's being tested more than once a week. Of all the tests, almost 1 in 10 are coming back positive. That's better than it was. Right? That was like 13, 14 not very long ago. So that's trending in the right direction. We like to see that. We got to keep it trending all the way down to like 3. Okay? So that number has been trending downward since just before Thanksgiving, when people on a big scale really started people started acting like it was March and April again. Going out less, and that's when that number started to go down. So if we can keep that number going down, we get down to 3%, 2%, we can feel much more comfortable about the way things are going, and that, feel much more comfortable about waiting this thing out until we get everybody vaccinated. Right? 9% is still too high for that. Okay, a couple other numbers I'll mention here. Active cases, also headed in the right direction. We're down to 35,500. Now, again, this is subjective. Back in June, that was like 4,000. And then it went from like 6,600 at the beginning of June all the way down to 4,000. And currently active cases. So the fact that that's down to 35,000, that only about of all the cases we've ever had are currently active. That number was 22% not very long ago. Okay, so that's good. We've had total in Wisconsin confirmed 458,612 cases, and of those, 7.7% are currently active right now. 35,500. That's, again, a big number, but much smaller than it has been recently. So we like to see that headed in the right direction also. I'd love to get that back down under 10,000. I just accidentally clicked an ad on my own site. You're not supposed to do that. Okay, the state also reported 8 deaths on Monday, today. Again, Sundays and Mondays, deaths are always low because of the amount of paperwork and confirmation and certifications that have to happen before that death certificate gets uploaded into the state database. And that processing just doesn't happen as much on the weekends. So Sundays and Mondays are low. 8 is very low. I will let you know that the 8 that we do have today, there were 2 each in. This doesn't make sense. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong spreadsheet. I apologize. 1 in Brown County, 1 in Chippewa County, 1 in Dunn County, 1 in Grant County, 1 in Sauk, 1 in St. Croix, and 2 in Wood County. Sorry about that. I had the wrong spreadsheet up. So again, pretty spread out. Really, it's still affecting rural counties, which has been the case for a long time. Hospitalizations is one spot that the news is not great. 40 more people in the hospital today than yesterday. That's not just that 40 people got hospitalized. That's the net increase of all the people that went into the hospital minus all the people that got discharged from the hospital. You're up by 40. So now it's 1,308 currently hospitalized. The ICU population fell by 20. Okay, so that's okay. That's good. It's not great because sometimes ICU population goes down because people pass away. But it's also true that even if people did pass away from ICUs, like there were more people going into ICUs to replace them. So the ICU population is down. Overall hospital population is up. The alternate care facility population is down to 3. Yesterday it was 5. So again, headed in the right direction. We'd love to see that place totally useless. Right? If the alternative care facility is useless and empty, that means all the hospitals are in okay shape. Not good shape necessarily. It just means they haven't had to send patients to that other facility because they're completely overwhelmed. Right? They could be overwhelmed. They could be at the brink of being overwhelmed. They could have severe staff shortages. But what it means is they're not quite at that point of really having to send people away. So it's kind of a barometer for that. So it's good to see that number of people at the alternative care facility is also continuing to go down. I think that is all of the COVID data for today. We will take a short pause, and I've got some additional, some other news and stuff to run by you in just a minute. I'll be right back. All right. Now, a couple of things I'll mention for today. First of all, this is COVID related. Wisconsin is going to receive 16,000 doses of Moderna's new vaccine. Remember, we got some Pfizer vaccine. Not as much as we were promised. We were promised almost 50,000 doses, which would have been enough to inoculate almost 25,000 people, right? Because each vaccine requires 2 doses. We only got 35,000, but okay, it's still 35,000. Now then, a couple of days later, the Moderna vaccine was approved, and we are going to get 16,000 doses of that, which is enough for 8,000 people. Now, we're still focusing on healthcare workers and residents of long-term care facilities. CDC has come up with new guidelines that will say the next tier of priority people will be frontline workers, meaning like not healthcare workers, but other workers who have to be out, teachers, other education professionals, like retail workers, grocery store workers, delivery folks, I assume, those kind of folks. And then also anybody over 75, whether or not they're living in a assisted care facility. So again, the state decides who gets the vaccine when, or which tiers of people get vaccinated when, but the CDC offered those guidelines for the states. Also today, we learned that Sean Barnes has accepted the position of police chief in Madison. He will begin that job. He comes from Chicago, and he will take over as Madison chief of police. I'm not sure that they've decided a start date yet, but soon. And we will get to know him really well. We'll have him on Real Talk. Maybe I'll have him on this show. I don't know. We'll see. But we'll get to know him as he joins the Madison community. The other thing I mentioned is that tonight is the longest night. It's a memorial service for homeless people who've died. It's probably over by now, actually. It's at 3 o'clock today. But Just Dane has this, formerly known as Madison Area Urban Ministries, has this every year on the Solstice. Because it's the longest night for people who don't have homes to be outside. Right? And it's a memorial service for those people who probably didn't get a funeral, honestly, who were homeless and can sometimes be forgotten. So it's a really somber and moving thing to keep an eye on, maybe for next year if you missed this year's. The last thing I'll mention is, again, local to Dane County, Madison here. My old friend Cecily Castillo is the first Latina on the Dane County board, it's kind of remarkable that we're still having firsts like that, but it's still pretty cool when one happens. Cecily, I worked with Cecily back in like 2006, 2007, like the first half of Jim Doyle's second term as governor. Cecily and I worked together in the lieutenant governor's office, in Barbara Lawton's office. So that's how I know Cecily, but she, and we've been friends this whole time, and she was appointed to the county board to fill a vacancy, and has already filed, to be elected to a full term next spring. We have on the website right now, Madison365.org, is a profile of her and her sort of positions and what she hopes to bring to the county board by our own Naomi Wolf. Last thing I'll mention is we like to give the team a little time off for the holidays. Understanding the news doesn't stop. There's if anything, you're not going to miss anything. If anything breaks or anything big happens, we will bring it to you as we always do. But we kind of take a little time off of the features and stuff because frankly it's also kind of hard to schedule interviews during the holidays. Anyway, so we're running some sort of best of 2020, and 2020 was a crazy year, difficult year, but there were still some good things happening. So we're running some best of. If there was a particular story that you read at Madison 365 this year that you loved and you would love to see again, let us know. Message us on Facebook, shoot us an email, news@madison365.org, and just say, hey, I love that story about that new business that opened up. I love that story about that student who did that thing, whatever. We can give that, whoever it was, we can give them a little bit more shine again here at the end of the year. So let us know. I'm kind of polling all the writers, all our reporters, find out what their favorites were. So we'll get like a little, these are Fatimata's favorites, these are Iomi's favorites, these are Malik's favorites. So that'll be kind of fun. So watch out for that. And in the meantime, I will be back tomorrow with another update for you. And until then, hope you have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you soon.
This is 365 Media.